Hi everybody, my name's Liz Rivera. I'm the Gem State Medium. Welcome back. Okay, so the Haunted History Tour this year, let me try to explain real quick how it works. I generally get a call, let's say this year it was middle of September, to go in to do a walkthrough of a location. They tell me that this is going to be at the Creamery, and I had no idea where the Creamery was. So I get the address, find out exactly where it's going to be, and I meet up with the people from the museum. And they're like, yeah, I think we're going to do the Creamery. We're going to see if we can get in, if they'll okay it today, and you can do your walkthrough while you're there. It was built in 1920. This is the first time I've ever been in this building and really walked through. There were the owners or the investors that own this place, and then the people with the museum. When I first got there, I wasn't feeling like there are all these ghosts and stuff. That wasn't it at all. In fact, it was a little more of a residual feeling. You could tell people had been there before they had. Way back before cars and things. So it was almost this sound or feeling of like even before the Creamery was built in the 20s. It went further back than that. That's what I was getting when I first went in. And in fact, through much of the building, and it was a cool, old, creepy style of building. Eventually we get to an area where they say, okay, we're going to go downstairs into the basement area. And so we start to go down these stairs, and mind you, there is zero lights going. There is no power in the basement and this back part of the building. So we're headed down, and the owners go first, and they turn their little lights on the flashlights on their phone. One of the owners said at the time, as I started to come down, be careful, the stairs aren't, they're cement, but they aren't very uniform. They're, and it's dark, so please be careful. As soon as they said that, I reached over and grabbed a hold of the railing. And it was as soon as I was just thinking about not falling, honestly. But as soon as I grabbed a hold of the railing, it was like, oh my gosh, what were they doing down here? And it just came out of my mouth when I grabbed the railing. I said, what were they doing down here? It was illegal. It was sketchy. What in the world were they doing down here? And one of the female owners, she said, I can't believe you just said that, because what they were doing down here was they were gambling. They had slot machines. They had alcohol. This was during Prohibition. They had a whole little, gambling sort of alcohol happy place down here in the basement. And eventually they got busted. And she said supposedly they buried it somewhere on this property. I hadn't seen any intelligent ghosts, and I don't mean that in a rude way. That came out wrong. Like an intelligent haunt. I mean, there's the difference between a residual, where it's just kind of like a movie that plays over and over again. And then there's an intelligent haunt. And that means, they understand, they're aware, these ghosts. So I hadn't seen anything like that yet. But what I wanted to do was, since there was the group of investment owners, and then there was the small group of the people from the museum, I was kind of trying really hard to figure out what exactly I was picking up in that basement. But because there were so many people, it was a little bit sketchy. Wasn't real sure if it was them or if it was something else. So for me, I need to wander away, which is what I generally do anytime we do a walkthrough with the museum, because I go in with them. I'll wander away, and I will go down into the basement alone. I'll go into back rooms alone. Any place that I'll be alone and be able to pick up what I need to. And generally, a lot of times they'll be very dark places. I just happen to see better in the dark. So I can hone in on what I need to down there. So I go back into this one, go through this doorway, and back in this, and it turned out to be a pretty good sized room back in there, pretty good space. There was this huge blue tank in there, and still lots of room in there. But I walked in there and it was a whole different feeling than in the other part of the basement. So I was curious as to what exactly I was picking up. And so I reached over and grabbed a hold of the doorknob because it was so strong when I grabbed the hand railing that I did that again just to pick up what I could. As soon as I grabbed that doorknob, it was like instantly focusing. I could see in the dark these silhouettes of several people, entities, ghosts, that were in that room with me. And as and I'm sitting there, I closed my eyes and I was trying to bring them in to figure out what they were a little bit better, or who they were, if I could get real faces with these silhouettes I was seeing with my eyes open. I wanted to see if I could get more detail. As soon as I did that, and mind you, I'm still hanging on onto the doorknob, it was like that group of silhouettes started coming towards me. So I opened my eyes and I could see them coming towards me, moving closer. And I'm sure they were just as curious as I was about them. They were about me, because it's the way it works when you're a medium, or if you're gifted, or if you're sensitive in any way, they'll gravitate towards you. When they started coming closer towards me, I didn't get a great feeling from them. I could feel the energy build. And when I start feeling that energy building, I don't know how to describe it other than that's the stuff that'll raise the hair on your arms, and not just from being afraid, but like the static electricity, and it's that energy builds and you can feel it. And when they start doing that, I know that they're gearing up to either touch, push, pull, like whatever. And that made me uncomfortable since there was a few of them. So I backed up and backed out of the room like, nope, I'm out. I'm gonna go where the other people are, because clearly I didn't feel very welcome in that room. Once I left that room, I felt fine, and the other people were chatting and talking. And so, we visited a little bit. We went back up the stairs. So when we got up there, we went to this different little room area, and one of the owners again was kind of standing up a little ways from us and up on kind of a ramp or something, at least from where I was standing, if I remember right. And he was just talking about the renovations. Oddly enough, he was talking about renovating, and they had put in a bathroom or something like that. Anyway, talking about that. As he started talking, within 30, 40 seconds, all of a sudden, those ghosts that had been downstairs, those silhouettes, had followed us up, and I could see them like moving behind them. Like you'd get a just random, or down and around. I was like, holy cow, they just followed us over here too. That's great. It was just, they were just showing themselves. This place was so massive, and I keep trying to remember. I remember going out, and we did walk around to the front part of the building where the office was for the challenge Creamery, which is what this was all connected to. We had to leave that part of the building in order to come around and to the front of this building. Once we got in there, it was kind of quiet, but there was a vibe to it. And I was like, there is something or somebody here. I wasn't sure if it was the same ghost that had been on the other side of the building. And so we started walking through, and again, there was another set of stairs that took you down and into the basement. Gosh, at some point we walked through some tunnels, we walked through some different things, and you could, or I could feel them, and I knew they were there. When we came up those stairs to come back into the office area of this building, one of the ladies from the Museum of Idaho, she says, let's talk about, let's just do a little impromptu interview and see what you've found, if anything, and we'll just record you. So we start recording, or she does, and she's asking, so what have you seen? Anything, whatever. And I'm start explaining to her what I have felt so far. And then all of a sudden, I just saw something fall from the ceiling. Now what I saw, because there was a lady whose phone video had stopped working and wouldn't work, and then the other lady who works at the museum who was actually recording, and they were standing maybe 4 feet apart or so, 4 or 5 feet, and I saw a white misty sort of mass fall through the ceiling, and then straight down through the floor and was gone. And it left a little bit of a trail, but it was just this mass, and it went right in between the two. And I said something, just saw something go down. And then we're talking about something else, and then I think somebody asked what exactly it was. So I'm going to insert the clip right here, and it takes a couple minutes, but I want you to pay attention to what I say in the video, because it was so fresh and it had just happened, because it'll be important for later on during the haunted history tour.
How many people do you think?
Absolutely more than one. There has to be, because I don't know. See, I just saw something again. So I think, I don't know, I just think just back in, oh gosh. When I was in the basement where there was that blue tank, and I went back in there by myself, and it was dark, I could feel them closing in, kind of coming up towards me. That's when I realized that there was, for sure, living ghosts, like ghosts that were aware.
Are they still walking past us right now?
I haven't seen one since that one just a minute ago.
Oh, okay. Where was that one at?
In between you two.
Oh, shit. Do you know kind of like... Oh, are you serious? Oh, okay. Was it the same one that walked past me?
That one looked a little bit lighter, because right now when I'm seeing them, like, it's more of a flash, kind of a misty color, and like that one was lighter colored, where the other one was kind of a darker color, like, but it went by so fast. So how they manifest themselves, that's how I kind of know that they're different entities, because the way they manifest themselves are, well, just like us, how we present ourselves. Everybody's different.
Can you see faces?
So the haunted history tour starts. Now I should add that when I do the haunted history tour, it's not just me. They do the whole history part of it, the museum does, and I do my thing as a medium, but they also have a paranormal investigator, Scott Bryan, and he does this whole ghostology, and he goes in scientifically and kind of does his whole paranormal investigating. We don't ever go in together. He has always gone in a week or so after I go in, and he goes by himself. I'm nowhere around. Although with this building, I was like, please let me go in with him, because I want some more time down there. There was so much activity, I thought, but I didn't. So he goes in, he does his whole thing one night, and then a couple days before the haunted history tour starts, the museum has us come in, and then we all sit down and kind of have a reveal meeting where he shares the information, video, audio, whatever he may have caught with me, and then we kind of visit and compare notes to see if anything meshes. And it's always interesting to get together with him later, because it's always fun to see how much we get. And a lot of times he picks up exactly where I was getting information and paranormal experiences. That's where they get their readings and EVPs and different things like that. So Scott and I are actually almost presenting together. So we're in the Creamery in the office building is where they had us set up. Well, he set up. I just show up because I don't have equipment to set up. But anyway, so we're in the same room. And then the tour comes through, and, you know, the group gathers around, and we tell them what we saw or what he found. As each group comes in, I stand up and explain. Just because I went in first to do my walkthrough, he went in later. So I just explained everything that I felt, kind of what I just told you, to the group. And Scott will get up, and then he has his screen and his audio and all of that stuff that he can present all his findings. For context, let me just explain. When we do the haunted history tour, they have 4 groups per evening, and then they have 4 locations. So they split the group that we have for any given evening, which is usually 100 people or so, and they separate them in, 25 people per group, and then each group hits each location. And so we were getting 25, 30 people per group. And the first group came in, did my whole thing, explained everything I'd seen. Scott said his whole thing, that was fine. It was the second or third group, and I can't remember which one it was, but I'm again telling this new group exactly what I had seen and how things were. And all of a sudden, off to the side, right, like this way, I see a ghost literally walk in front of this lady and was gone. And it caught me off guard. So if you were part of that group, please give me a shout out, because this actually happened. And it was the first time, because we've done the haunted history tour. I knew there were ghosts there, things like that, but to have them show up during the time I'm speaking about them and in front of a whole room of people was a little unusual, to say the least. And it caught me off guard, startled me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just saw somebody like right over here by this lady. And it threw me. And I had a hard time, kind of like now, trying to figure out my words, what I was going to, like, where was I, sort of thing. And Scott's like, you were right here. Okay. I don't know if he thought I was losing it or what. The second night, on the 23rd, doing the whole thing again. And during one of the groups, again, only this time it was almost dead center in front of me. And I saw somebody move right past this couple. I think there were 2 ladies that were standing there in front of them. And I'm like, I just saw somebody else. Like, this is the second night in a row. And it didn't happen in every group. It was just during those 2 groups. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? But that is so unusual that they're so brazen and drawn to these big groups and what's going on. I'm feeling a little intimidated, thinking I hope I got everything right, because they're probably going tell the story right. um, interesting. Okay, and so then I'm thinking Scott's going to start thinking I'm crazy. Maybe he already does. I don't know. And it was like I don't even remember anymore, because there were so many crazy things that happened in that challenge office building that we were located in. But then not too long later, and honestly, I cannot tell you if it was the same night, dang it. Scott, I'm talking again, and I see Scott moving off to my side and backing up, and then kind of stops, and then he goes and looks over again, and it's towards the main door that the people had just come in. And he goes, okay, I'm just going to say, so he interrupts me. He's like, I need to say, I thought that there were some people standing out here in the foyer, and because I saw movement, and I looked back, and he said, as he leaned forward to look to see if anybody was there, he saw two legs and one of them back up, and then it was gone. So watching us, but so he saw a ghost as well. And I'm like, whew, I don't feel so crazy now, because even though I know what I saw and I'm used to seeing ghosts, when you're standing in front of a group of people and you say, I just saw a ghost, you don't want people to look at you and go, sure you did. All right. But it honestly, it happened, and I did see it, and he saw it. And so we're having something happen every single night that we were located in this building. I also thought I saw somebody move. There is a vault in there too. So this vault, but I saw, and they had tape, like the caution tape in front of it, because I guess there isn't a lock or anyway a combination to get into that vault anymore. So it's opened and propped open and held open, but then there was caution tape so nobody would go in there. But I saw somebody move behind the tape and would have gone in through a wall, but that was just one more. Now we get to the very last night, which was the 30th. So Saturday night, this last Saturday night, we did our whole thing at, the Creamery, and we're in the challenge office building. And it's been vacant for I don't know how long, and it is kind of creepy and stuff. But anyway, this is where we had been seeing the ghosts, where I'd had all the experiences, where the phone didn't work to record, just where everything had been happening up there. And that last night on Saturday, I'm like, it's really weird tonight. This is like the third group that had gone through that I'm telling Scott, nothing is going on. It's oddly quiet. And he immediately agreed that it seemed very quiet, very dead, if you will, in there. It was unusual. The next group came in, and it was the final group. And I did my whole thing and saw nothing. And I thought, wow, got through this whole thing and not seeing anything or anything like that. No ghosts, no nothing. So I had a little, like a camp chair, a folding chair that I had set so that when Scott was speaking, I would just go and sit. So I was out of the way. So I'm sitting there, and Scott's up there talking about all this stuff. Now, what I was doing every night while he was speaking, I would take a picture of the crowd or the people that were there. No flash, no anything, because I did not want to be disruptive. So I just kind of picked my phone up, it was lower in my lap because I didn't want to disturb or people to see the light from my phone and be disruptive or whatever. Although I think in the picture there's one lady that kind of looks at me, but I picked my phone up, just held it up like this, and took one picture because I thought I want one picture for the last night of Scott actually, talking, or the crowd sort of thing. So I take the picture, snap it, and put my phone back down and turn it off so it doesn't disrupt. So the tour's over, and that I was just exhausted by the time we left. It's hard to go in and sit in a very active location every night without feeling drained the next day, and I really did. So I was just exhausted, even though I didn't get anything that night that we'd been there, which is odd. So wake up the next morning, drinking my coffee, and I pull my phone out to look at the photos I had taken the night before. That very last photo I took right after I had just got done saying, this place is so quiet and so dead. Or, well, Scott said that part, but just that it was like there was nothing there. I wasn't getting anything. So right after that, I had taken that one photo. And sure enough, I got this in the photo. And I went back and looked at the other photos that I had done the same thing and picked my phone up without the flash and taken a picture of each group that had come in. And there's nothing but crystal clear ceiling that's on, that's up above. You can see where they had been drywalling and redoing a great job. It's just not painted. So you can see that where, the new drywall is up, up there, but this doesn't explain anything and what that streak is. I just kept looking at it thinking, I kind of pulled it up and looked, and it looks three-dimensional, like it's cloudy. And it dawned on me, I've seen this before. And that's when my mind immediately went back to standing near the stairs and seeing that light white mass come drop through the ceiling and through the floor. That's exactly what I saw. I'd seen it before. And so I can add in that little clip again at the very end of this so you can listen to what I say about it, because it's what I saw. It was a white mass, and it just dropped through the ceiling, and that's what this is. It's just a clear, and I've seen it before. Like every once in a while you'll get a ghost, or if I see, a silhouette of something or somebody, it's kind of a billowy film. I don't know if you want to call it ectoplasma. I don't know what it is exactly. It's how they present themselves. And you hear me talking about that in the video. Now, or not, it's some sort of a light anomaly, or it doesn't look like dust. It's not particles. This is different. So you'll have to take a close look. I just wanted to make this video because it was such an interesting building, and to have all of those things happen every night except for the one. And as soon as I said, how quiet it was and stuff, that last picture I took, I get exactly what I saw coming out of the ceiling in the middle of the day between the two ladies in the museum and dropped through the ceiling and through the floor. And then to catch it on my last picture was pretty cool for me. So you guys can look at it and decide if it's a light anomaly, if it's dust, or if it is a paranormal anomaly, which in my opinion, because I had seen it before, that's what it looks like to me. It looks just like what I said. So anyway, you guys be the judge. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.